Hi. No, this isn't a joke. This is actually a new video on my own channel because I decided to, for once, believe it, apply myself for once. I guess so. My 2022 has been a long, insane, exhausting year with good reasons and bad reasons. For any of my followers, viewers, and listeners, readers, and fans, crazies, who keep up with me, I have not been active on my particular YouTube channel this year because I haven't really known what I'm doing with my channel in terms of content. It's been a crazy year in terms of what everything else that I'm doing. I have been gone from YouTube entirely though, in my defense. I started a new show with my friend Jordan, aka Chains or React. It's called MS Multiverse, which is our geek space we do on Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern on his channel. I will provide a link in the video in the show notes. And I've been fortunate to guest on other content creators' channels this fall, which has been so much fun. I also started streaming on Twitch, where I play Valorant, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelings, and various superhero games because, well, it's me. So, obviously, YouTube hasn't been a priority for me as I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing with this channel going forward. I'm hoping to have some updates on that in 2023 because we're about to enter the new year, and new year means new slate, new opportunities, new attempts, I guess. However, I did know that there was at least one video I wanted to make once we learned that Flash will officially end with season 9. For any new viewers, to make a long story short, The Flash has essentially been the show that gave my career a massive push forward for almost a full decade, especially through the Flash podcast. Anyone who knows me will know that saying goodbye to the Flash is going to be hard. It's going to be a very hard chapter for me. I've been so lucky to be able to connect with the show in the way I have, which straight up, I never expected to happen when I first launched the podcast in 2013. Back when I lived in not this place, but a little bedroom with a crappy microphone, half working headset, which is definitely not what I have today. So thank God. I've been blessed to meet and engage with various talent on the show, including our boy himself, Gustin, who has even shown love for the podcast over the years and just always been a great dude and fun to interact with in an interview that I will never forget. Over the last few seasons, the podcast has allowed us to bond with the show even more, from befriending Eric Wall, the showrunner, shout out to you if you're watching, to having more interviews than ever with various cast and creators of the series. And as I said on the Flash podcast for the last couple of, I don't know how many episodes we've done throughout the fall, we're going all out for the final season. We hope to bring on more people for great chats and interview as we get to the end of the series. And I have the biggest hope that many of you will be there for that journey, even if the Flash podcast won't end after season 9 because I'm too stubborn to end it. It definitely will be the end of an era for our podcast. To everyone who has made it possible, whether it is someone who works on the show or any of our amazing listeners, I cannot stress this enough that our gratitude for all of you is eternal, because we wouldn't be here without you. And I know I've rambled for a long time now, so let me get to the point of this video before we close out 2022. I always love to collect memories and highlights from my life, whether it is professionally or personally. And this year I've been doing a lot of mental health work because I haven't been in a good place the last couple of years. So this year has been a bit of it's a recovery journey for me. And this is kind of the end of the first chapter, as I kind of gone through with some challenges, grown from them, facing new ones, but now also being more equipped to know what to do with my life. Again, I love collecting highlights of my life just to remind myself. As well as this is for my followers, this is also for future me, who should probably look even older than this, have more gray hair, whatever. But whenever I need a good reminder of this journey, where I started and where I am now, this is kind of a way for kind of just me to go back and remember, hey, look where you've been. This This is a compilation of some of my favorite Flash interviews that I've done over the last couple of years with my favorite interview moments. And yes, you can completely laugh at some of the 2014 interviews with my atrocious camcorder that I had, as that was all I could afford when I did my first press run at San Diego Comic-Con in 2014. And now, things are different. Again, to any of you who have made it possible, I can't thank you enough. And I hope that any of my Flash coverage, whether it was through the Flash podcast or in the website that I have worked for and or are working for right now, was able to add something, anything, to your personal Flash experience over the last soon 10 years. I'm promising you that for this final season, I will do the best of my ability to give you all the best opportunities and experience with the Flash season 9 through the Flash podcast, whether it is doing more fan engaged content, dream interviews you have been waiting for. It's the least I can do to give back. But, and trust me, we're going to try to have some great fun in season 9 of the podcast as we enter season 9 and the final season of the series, which is, again, it's crazy that we're in less than 2 months. It's going to begin. So, but with that said, I hope everyone is having a great final day of 2022 and the year 2023 amazingly. Now, enjoy this compilation, and hopefully it won't be long until you see my annoying face and hear my annoying voice on this channel again next year. But until then, Happy New Year, everyone, and may the Speed Force be with you. So my question to you is, after seeing the pilot and so, he has this team behind him, Cisco, Keiynan, and Harrison and so on, but is he slowly going to become like the leader of his own team, or is he at the beginning going to be like, well, you guys just help me out?
Well, he definitely needs, if he woke up from the coma and was just by himself, I don't think it would go very well, so he definitely needs them right now. But Barry's kind of stubborn, because he's always done his own thing a little bit. He's always been an outcast.
Sure.
And now he has these friends, but they're his powers, and I think he's gonna let them kind of drive the car for a little bit. But yeah, he may end up becoming the team leader because he's incredibly bright. They all are, though.
Yeah.
But he also is stubborn, so I think sometimes he's gonna not.
Big finale. Big things happened. Trying to close the hole and so on. What can you tease about the season premiere?
I've been instructed to be incredibly vague.
Okay.
I apologize ahead of time. I can say though that we see how the singularity has affected all of our characters, and we'll get glimpses as to what exactly happened. I won't tell you exactly where we pick up. But we get plenty of information about how the singularity affected everybody. There are going to be brand new metahumans that are different than all the other metahumans that we've had, that are kind of showing up for different reasons. And Barry is getting kind of a lot of acclaim and attention right now, just for being the hero, I guess, that he's become. And he's kind of having a hard time dealing with that and accepting the fact that he's the hero because of what happened with the singularity, basically. He doesn't necessarily feel like the hero, and he'll slowly figure out why that is.
We saw, a lot of, the scientist part in Barry. So how much will that go further into this season because of, the units basically being rechanged a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know. I hope to see more of that. I don't know. I hope to see, in general, we've got a new Patty Spivot is coming in, so there'll be kind of more police work, because there's kind of another character to show that side of Barry's life, and they're going to be getting closer throughout the season, and it's going to start to be difficult for Barry to keep his major secret from this new person now. But I think because of that, we'll probably see more of the CSI and police side of things.
More advanced words to learn and all terms and all that.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of it in general. We did stuff in the pilot that was kind of like Sherlock, where you saw how Barry saw things, just even as a CSI before he was the Flash. And you know what I'm talking about? And we kind of abandoned that for whatever reason. And I hope we can get back to stuff like that with the CSI work in season 2.
I know you said before that this take on Flash will be the show's own take on it, but is there something that you really hope that you is there something that you can tease that will be brought from the book specifically that you're excited to see, for fans to see?
Well, I mean, obviously the obvious thing is Nora and Henry are both alive, which is the whole reason that this decision was made, and that's obviously true. And well, actually, Henry's dead in the comic book version, isn't he? Hadn't he died of natural causes or something in one of the versions?
Well, there was one version in review too where he had to go a little bit corrupt.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, anyway, both the parents are alive, which is the whole reason this was done. And they do a good job of using characters that have existed on our show and kind of not doing like, we're not directly replacing anybody to do an exact storyline from like the animated version of the comics, but they do a good job of like nodding to kind of previous Flashpoint stories in this version, but it is like completely its own thing. I mean, because obviously we've also set up our whole own world on the show, like with Cisco and Caitlin and Joe, and like those are our characters for the most part, the way we use them. So everything has to be changed in its own way because we're kind of our own thing already.
Still having a universe-changing effect.
Say that again?
But still having a universe-changing effect of, you know, the other shows.
Yeah, I mean, like all the shows are being affected. I know with the changes on Arrow, can't say, but I don't know how the other shows are being affected, but I know at least one change on Arrow that happens because of this decision. Thanks, man. Good to see you.
So, Crisis, I'm not going to ask for spoilers because I know you won't give them.
I won't even know them.
Yeah, okay. But how does it feel for you since the beginning of the show, knowing this was coming? Does it feel rewarded it's happening sooner than expected?
Yeah, I think when we saw the newspaper article, it was like that far away felt like it was going to be hard to reach, kind of no matter how successful the show was. So the fact that we could like accelerate things and get to this a little sooner is cool. Yeah.
But Joe now being the police captain, I mean, I'm guessing something will change the dynamic now at CCPD. I mean, are we going to see more of the forensic stuff as well? Because I always love when Barry gets to be the CSI.
Too. I don't know. I mean, I've done some at the beginning of this season, not a lot. We're going to see a different tone from Joe because he's now not a detective, he's the captain. So we're going to see some different elements with Joe and Cecile and Ralph kind of being a PI, you know, and like doing his own thing again, being a detective. But it's pretty much status quo with the amount of CSI work we're seeing Barry do, just because he's got a lot of other things going on too right now. I mean, I would always love to see more CSI stuff, especially like we did in the pilot with all those visuals that we never went back to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's status quo with the CSI work.
So, how's Iris going to react to someone like the Flash? You know, I've seen the pilot. So
Do I know you? Sorry, are we sorry.
I don't know. Have you heard my voice before somewhere?
I don't know. Do you have a podcast?
I have a Flash podcast.
Oh, okay.
This made my day. She recognized my voice. Nice to meet you too.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now, come on now.
You don't know me. Oh, I know. Well, hello.
So my question was that, beyond the first episode, how is Iris going to react to someone like the Flash? Because this is the first superhuman it's supposedly in this universe and so on. And how did he react to someone like him?
How does she react to the Flash?
Yeah, like how
would she react?
How would she react? Yeah, because I was like, we haven't gotten there. Do you know something that I don't know?
Maybe.
I mean, I do know that she's very interested in the Flash and who this person is, and that's kind of piquing her interest in being a journalist, and it's motivating her to kind of figure out who this guy is, and it's causing an interesting dynamic between her and Barry, because Barry wants to say to her, hi, I am the Flash, like, be interested in me, and she's just so overly interested in this guy that's running around and saving everyone, and it's such a glorious title, isn't it, to be a superhero, and her not to know that it's really just her best friend who she grew up with. It's kind of it's a hard thing, isn't it? But it's cool. I don't know when she'll find out, but it'll probably be a slow burn. We don't want to give that away too soon. But she'll figure it out. She's super smart.
She is.
She's super smart.
Totally.
Yeah. Do you guys have any ideas of good comics I should be reading?
Rebirth. Flashpoint.
Okay. I read Flashpoint.
Oh, good.
You've read Flashpoint. And I cried.
Yeah, it's so emotional.
So emotional.
See the movie, it's gonna make you feel even worse.
That's the first comic I read, and I was like, if our show can do what it just made me do reading this, then we're gonna have fun.
Yeah.
And that's what we try and bring every episode, is the part that you read in Flashpoint.
Okay. by the way, thanks for recognizing. This made my day. Thanks.
Lovely to meet you.
Same way.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Good to see you again too. So one thing as an online writer myself, I love seeing the journalistic part of Iris.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about her in season 2? As a journalist, I mean.
As a what?
As a journalist.
As a journalist. I thought you said as a villain. I was
No.
like,
Yes.
you know something
Iris.
that I don't know.
Maybe I do.
No, Andrew said explicitly to me that we're going to see Iris as the ace reporter that we kind of know her to be in the comics. So I'm excited about that. I think that's what people love about Iris. So I really hope that happens sooner than later.
Now, even though Barry is getting a new friend.
Yes, friend.
How dare you? I don't like the mother, I don't like the father, I don't like you, I don't like any of them.
What can West Salem fans look forward to? Just, maybe not a love relationship yet, but just a relationship between Barry and Iris overall in season 2. Like, what can you tease to them?
I don't know. I really wish I did know, because that was the fun thing that I think we saw with Barry and Iris in the beginning of season 1. We got to see them at the movies and bowling, and it's fun to see their dynamic and how they've kind of grown up and had a relationship. Going to season 2, I don't know. I hope that Iris is still the confidant that Barry needs, that he goes to her when he's confused about what to do, and the same for her. So I just hope their relationship continues to stay strong. It's Comic-Con. Yeah. You can't I'm like, this is the place I get to be fun. Why not?
Yeah. Because it makes to see all the years going by, seeing each dress. I'm like, girl has style.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
So, where's Iris at emotionally with the fact that Nora is gone? Like, how does she move on, if it's possible?
I mean, the death of a child, I don't think you ever move on from. And I think that's the theme that we kind of deal with very early on with Barry and Iris. It's 10 seconds after season 5 where we pick up in season 6. And obviously they're both, very distraught and still dealing with the death of their daughter, who they really only had a short amount of time to get to know. And so it's very raw and fresh. And they struggle with the appropriate way to deal so that they can move on in a healthy way and deal with, being members of Team Flash and dealing with the upcoming Crisis on Infinite Earths.
So we've seen a lot of actors in the Arrowverse starting to, they're directing their own episodes and stuff like that. Is something that after 6 seasons, something you would be interested in doing in the near future?
I don't know. It's not something immediately that I feel drawn to do, and I don't ever want, in my life and in my career, I don't ever want to do something just for the sake of doing it. I have to do it because I feel impassioned and motivated to do it. I'm not there yet. I really still very much care about the craft of acting. It's what I've always dreamed to do. It's what I hope to continue to do after this in a very serious way. And so for me, that's where my focus is on the show and being an actor and giving justice to that. Not to say that I won't ever do it. I think maybe, towards the end of my tenure on the show, it might be something that I dabble in. Why not?
I think you would rock at it. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's something I would definitely love to try and do at some point. I just don't know that it's going to happen right now,
Hello, you.
If I start giving long answers, cut me off, because she's going to yank me.
Okay. So now that Nora's murder is, dead, or in the comic world dead, what is the status for Mr. Henry Allen? Is he coming out anytime soon from jail?
Well, certainly a big part of the arc has Barry's whole life is to get his father out of jail. So that certainly has to be resolved in one way or another, I think, this season. Now, how that's going to happen, I absolutely can't. I'm not entirely sure, for one thing, because at the beginning of last season, we thought we knew how it was going to play out, but our executives are quick on their feet. And so they'll respond to fan reaction, they'll notice chemistry. So I figured there are 3 choices. He gets out, he doesn't, he dies in. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're hoping he doesn't die. I need Henry Allen.
Hello, John. How you doing?
Andy, I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm good. It's been too long since I talked to you voice to voice. I think it was maybe season 2 of The Flash when I last spoke to you.
I can't believe, because of course we're always, texting out to each other on social media. Has it been that long? My God, that's 6 years.
Yeah, you got to come back to, once the world opens up again, you got to come back to San Diego Comic-Con and so on, so we can chat and meet up. So, yeah. So in the pilot and in the Arrow episode that you and Cisco Ramon showed up in, it seems like you guys had kind of like a brother-sister relationship. Is that how you look at it, or do you just see him as like recent friends and so on?
I absolutely see it as very much a sibling relationship. You know, they give each other, they rip each other a little bit, but they also love each other so much. And they've been through this really traumatic event with particle accelerator explosion. I'm sure that's bonded them on a totally different level too.
It's something we will see in the flashback, you know, how they got closer to each other?
I hope so. I hope you get to see some more history of their relationship.
Hope so too. You guys look great together, so I want to see more of it.
Thanks. He's so funny. It's really great.
So, Keiynan went through like a lot in season 1, you know, with Ronnie. Yeah, Ronnie coming back, going away, and you know.
He said he's not dead.
Yeah.
So looking back, but he's also got another half.
Exactly. No big deal, you know. So what has been, you know, what has been the most interesting parts of playing the emotional journey of her in season 1?
It's so fun as an actor. Like that's what you wish for is, you know, something challenging, and you know, it's great. I've gotten to do so much of the show already. I'm excited to see what happens next.
Well, what about you?
Thank you.
So first of all, great job on your directing episode. Gospel is one of my favorite episodes of the series now. But
Thank you.
will you be directing again this season?
I will. I'm directing episode 6 of season 6.
And what can you tease about it?
I think they're still sort of blue sky breaking it. Like, I don't know that there's a ton of specifics right now, but I'm excited to see what the writers come up with. I was very lucky. I got a fantastic script last season, which really makes a big difference in terms of the episodes, so I'm excited to hopefully get another good script.
Okay, Killer Frost, your new costume, so amazing.
I love it.
Did you, was this one of many versions you guys were looking at? Did you have any input on how you wanted it to be done?
So we actually started working on that costume about a year ago. The intention was for it to be in season 5, but there was never, it never worked out for it to appear in season 5, which obviously I was very disappointed about at the time. But I'm excited that it's finally out there now, and I love this suit. There were a lot of things that I really wanted. You know, there's some homages to the comic books, which I love. I mean, in the Godspeed episode as well, I tried to do as many homages both to the pilot and pay respect to the comic books and the legacy that's there. So I think you see a little bit of that in the suit as well.
What? Oh yeah, I'm just now realizing the many looks Frost has had over the years.
So many.
Do you have a personal favorite out of the one? I mean, because I feel that the last one you had was like the ultimate perfect look, but like, do you have
that one's my favorite? Absolutely. You know, and our costume designer, Keiynan, she always, in my opinion, does a good job of sort of sourcing ideas from the comic books and paying homage to the comic books without being totally on the nose and still adapting it for, you know, the practicalities of filming a TV show. There was, I want to say it was season 3. I had a suit with a skirt and high boots, and the skirt and the high boots is in the comic books, and I loved that idea, but filming in that was challenging, to say the least. Superheroes on television shows should wear pants. It just makes sense.
or maybe just not film in Vancouver. I'm guessing because I hear
seriously.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe just not film in Vancouver.
Yeah. No, because I sometimes see, you know, through like various photos on them. I'm like, oh my god, they're filming in night shoes, and like they look. How are they still alive? Yeah. So no, but I am. Like we were talking before, you know, Keiynan doesn't seem to be able to catch a break. So, and I know that, you know, if you could pitch the ideal happy story for Keiynan that you feel that has never been allowed to get, whether it's later this season or in season 9. What is that chapter? What would you want Eric Wallace to do so that, you know? Because again, I just want this girl to just, after everything she's been through for 8 years, just get a win.
I know. I mean, look, if we're pitching the happily ever after, it's that Ronnie didn't actually disappear in the singularity. And just kidding, he's been taking a long nap, and he's back. And Keiynan and Ronnie are going to live happily ever after as they were meant to. And you know, they're going to both continue changing the world in their own ways. She is the scientist, and he building everything that she needs to heal the world.
So with the crisis coming, I mean, look, I'm not going to ask for spoilers because I know you won't give them. But
I'm not giving them.
Can you? Because I'm guessing because there will have to be. I know there will be a big bad that will be announced later. But will there be seeds leading up? Because this is like the biggest. I mean, not just DC storyline, but one of the biggest storylines with Flash.
Correct.
In general, so would you say that there will be seeds leading up to, I don't know if it's episode 9 or 10 that you guys are doing it, but like, how much are you building up to the crossover through these upcoming episodes, or is it mostly focusing on this new villain?
It is both.
It is both.
And that's the strength of season 6. Crisis is not separate from any story throughout the entire 22 episodes. Even after Crisis, the fallout from it continues to build and screw with Team Flash. I can say that word. Sorry. Trying to be family audience. But in the first pre-Crisis episodes, as you know, the big bad is getting introduced, like we always do, and all that stuff, we'll see a relationship between what's coming in Crisis with what's happening to Barry, with what's happening with the new big bad. They are all interrelated, and once we reveal the new big bad, especially once we get into around episode 3, 4, and 5, you will understand exactly why this big bad was chosen. It's very specific and only could have been chosen in this year of Crisis because dread is hanging over all of Team Flash. Dread, sorrow, potential loss of not just, you know, your loved ones, but the entire world. That's not happy. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I love how there was a little trailer narrating, like, dread is hanging on.
I'm a rather melodramatic person.
I love that impulse.
Oh, there you go.
I love that impulse.
I will say this, as a big fan of the 4400, the original 4400 that came on, right? She will never pull a 4400 and walk into the room and be 21 or 18. Not while I'm here. That's not going to happen. Okay, so rest assured that she will have a normal life. You know, unless we cut to the future, that might happen. You might see what she looks like in a future episode.
I love this plan.
You know,
I mean, better than my morbid plan.
Eric said this is going to happen. Tweeting it right now.
This is an example of the subconscious writer. I literally this is how it is in the writer's room. I just say something crazy, and then I'm like, oh, that's kind of a good idea. And then it goes on the board. Cool stuff to maybe do, right? Future episode with Jenna at 21. And you just write it up there and we'll see if we get to it. You know? So if we get to it, you'll know where it came from. It happened right here.
I mean, it's less morbid than my idea that I said on the air, where I said something like, "Well, how about they just strike her with a lightning bolt and she just ages up?" I don't know if CW would like allow that at 8 p.m. slot, like, you know, maybe move to 9 p.m. just to do that for that 1 week. But like,
and suddenly they get kids everywhere trying to get struck by lightning to age up.
Yeah.
Have this.
PSA kids, don't do that.
Things not to listen to, Andy. About. Aging up with a lightning bolt.
Yes. But I honor the spirit with which you created that idea, Andy, and I understand.
Just on the record, do not hate babies. Not planning on having any, but just, you know, it's, you know, for a story reason, I just figured that hit her for a lightning bolt, she can run with her, you know, family and stuff.
I, like the rest of you all, are still waiting for a pickup too, but I know how these things work from a more practical level. If we are lucky enough to get that pickup, then very quickly I'm going to be asked, hey, so what's the story next year? I can't wait. I can't wait that long. I need to have a plan in place now. So that's kind of been my job over the last couple of months or so. But yeah, I would like to have, you know, the people who were on the show before in Armageddon, but there's also some new folks. I won't spoil it, but one of the people I'm actually having a conversation with, I believe in 2 weeks, a Supergirl alum. I'll give you that much. Who has never been on our show before. And I'm going to try and get that individual. Notice I did not use any pronouns. I'm going to try and get that individual onto our show in some way because I love the character so much. But, you know, one step at a time. One step at a time.
Losing anyone else after the season, I hope?
Tune in. Tune in to find out.
All right. Well, people watching this, I tried. So
yes. And you did a great job. You tried. You know.
Yeah.
You'll never get that big of a spoiler out of me.
No.
A few moments later.
I said it at the top of this interview, Andy. You're absolutely right. In many ways, 8:15 is both a standalone episode, and it really does kind of kick off graphic novel number 7, but it's still a standalone. You know, it's not a full on because, well, that was a spoiler. Shouldn't say that. I almost revealed the big.
I don't even have to try. This is what I know. I don't even have to say anything.
I know. I should not say that. How do I? boy. All right, I'm going to change topics. What's your next question? Because I was about to get answer spoilers.
No worries.
I'm looking forward very much to starting a little fresher. Doesn't mean we won't have our usual graphic novels. I already know who the two big bads are for season 9. And yes, I do know what the season 9 finale is. I always know where I'm driving to. But beyond that, I want to take a little time off, just rest the brain, and come back to it fresh. Because it's been a very intense few years making this show in the global pandemic. We've all been through a lot of things. We've been through it together, quite frankly. So
a few moments later.
Another thing I wanted to speak about, speaking of deleted scenes, was there something that did not make it into the finale? Because again, I feel everyone and their mother on the show spoke about how big this finale was going to be. But of course, I understand there's only 41 minutes to go with. So was there anything that they didn't make it?
Yeah, some of it was so large we had to cut it out of the shooting script literally like at the 11th hour right before we started shooting, because it was so huge. It was so huge. And when, when folks see it, I mean, all those, that final battle between Negative Reverse Flash and Flash is just, we have 2 units going at the same time. We have visual effects going with the live action. Then Iris is coming out of the, time stone at the same time. It's all this, it's so much going on. In fact, I can think of at least 2 scenes that were cut out of 820. There's a scene with, I think hopefully this is on the DVD. Again, I haven't looked at the supplements, but it's a scene with extra scene with Jay Garrick and Joan that we just couldn't fit in. And it's them in 2049, again, expressing concern over Iris. It's one of those kind of emotional scenes where, and we had an Easter egg in it too. Oh, that's sad. I hope that one gets on the DVD. It's an Easter egg for season 10, should we get one.
What did he say?
I have a tendency to.
Wow, Eric. Wow. You said 10 minutes ago, Andy, I need a break. Me also, Eric, I'm planning season 10 at the same time.
I like my job. I love the show. Sometimes I can't stop thinking about it. And so,
because again, this will be running right after not just the Flash finale, but also the Superman Lois finale. Because we learned that Superman Lois is not on Earth Prime after all. And I know that when
Spoiler, dude, I haven't seen it. Good lord.
Oh, come on! You must have known, Eric. Come on.
So stay tuned. Stay tuned and watch Notting Hill.
I promise, because I spoiled the Superman Lois finale for the Flash showrunner, so that I'm embarrassed. So I will watch it as homework. I will probably DM you a message, be like, "Oh my god, it was amazing." So, how will the flashbacks be done on Flash compared to Arrow? Will it be explained from the other character's point of view during these 9 months because Barry was in a coma?
We haven't come up with that way yet, but that's a good idea actually. Okay. So maybe we'll do it. We do different kinds. So we do sometimes his childhood, because there's obviously part of the mystery of also what happened to his mom, and as we deal with that throughout the year, we go back there, and then each of the characters has backstories that we go into. I think one thing that's really interesting to us, when he runs, also, he's also, if you notice in the pilot, a lot of the flashbacks are happening around his running. It helps make the running more dynamic too, because there's things he's being brought back to. And you mentioned the Speed Force at the top. There's probably a world where he's not just flashing back at some point.
Speaking of the Flash, I was asking Mark before that, before the crossover, because one of the core relationships in there has been Oliver and Barry. And would you hope to see them getting to have a little mini adventure before the crossover? I mean, I know production can be difficult, whatnot, but would you want that?
Any chance I get to work with Grant, I'll take. I love working with him. Aside from Emily and David, he is my favorite person to work with. There's something about whatever he does with Barry Allen that brings out a part of Oliver Queen that doesn't exist if I'm not hanging with him.
That was beautiful.
Don't tell him that.
Well, I mean,
did you record it?
Oh, I mean, it's
Might we see more of his family again this season?
There will definitely. His family is going to play a pretty important role for Cisco in this season. It's actually going to lead to an event that ultimately informs Cisco's whole arc in the season, really, and it's one that is very emotional and very difficult for Cisco to grapple with. So I think fans can expect a lot of conflicts and friendships to be tested as a result of these events. I'm being very specific here. I like your hat. Oh, thanks. Can I have it? I'm kidding. Oh, there was some teasing about that maybe we might see a different Harrison Wells.
Who was teasing that? One of these yokels? You can't listen, Gustin. You can't listen to anything Gustin says. You guys can't listen to anything Gustin says. I'm telling you. Well, hey man. Hey man. It's good to see you, Gav.
Yeah. So there's been some teasing here.
So that's the dynamic.
Yeah, that's the dynamic indeed.
you're not sure. I'm sure you're not say what type of Harrison you're playing this season, but can you at least
I can tell you.
You can tell us.
Can you tell us how many?
Oh my.
3,000 this season.
No, 52.
It will be more than one. Okay, hang on a second. So obviously, the shadow of the Reverse Flash is probably the most prominent shadow that I cast on this television show. And then within that, underneath that shadow, I try and come up with a bunch of different things. And this year, my methodology in the past has been to try to see where perhaps we might have availability. Grant is so winning, Danielle is so winning, Candice is so winning. All these people are so winning. So I thought, it'd be great if we had like a daily asshole. You know what I mean? And that's what the genesis of Harry Wells was. No social graces, he's a bit of a dick, but ultimately, and you think because of what's gone before with Reverse Flash, he's going to be the villain, and then he actually he's a good person inside, and he is filled with loyalty. And then this next season was like, well, we could do a little more comedy. Season 2 was dark, and then we had HR. Last year, I very much knew that I wanted to play. I liked when in season 3, Harry and HR would do scenes together, and HR loved Harry, and Harry couldn't stand HR. And that was so much fun to do. I thought, wouldn't it be great if within the actual story that we're telling, the overarching story, we had that kind of dynamic? And so that became Sherlock Wells trying to track down the Reverse Flash and trying to figure out who was helping Nora, and that was a delight to play, because ultimately it was like, we are helping. Oh, it's me, the Reverse Flash. So that was a privilege to be able to do that. And this year the guy will be a swashbuckling, bit of a rogue, bit of an adventurer, living a life of intrigue, possible deceit, and maybe a little sensuality. That sounded pretty good, actually, when I just threw that out there. I just made that up, and I was like, not bad, kid.
And is he coming sooner or maybe later?
Yes. That's all you get.
Okay, fair enough, thank you.
You're welcome. I feel like it's a direct answer. I like your shirt, by the way.
I don't know if this was mentioned in an earlier draft of the script and so on, but what is the status of Mrs. West, your wife, Iris' mother?
That's a really good question.
They never told. They didn't tell you anything about it?
No, they didn't. And I asked a couple of times. I was like, "Is there a Mrs. West?" They said yes. I was like, "Is she around?" They said no. And I was like, "Would I know anything else?" They said no.
But around, is she alive? Is she what do you mean?
I don't know. And I'll tell you something. When I started the project, particularly when we were starting the pilot, Andrew, Jeff, and Greg were sort of telling about the world of the Flash and all the details and the metahumans and what's coming and who this gorilla is and why that cage is there. And I was like, stop! Don't tell me anything else. I didn't grow up in this world. I don't know this world. These are the joke. So that's the way I want to play. Like, I don't need to know. Like, yes, I know Wentworth is coming. I have no idea what he's playing. I don't know what he looks like, but and I want to keep it that way. I mean, that's the only way I think to play Joe West. He's like the audience. He sees it like you guys see it. I mean, he is one of the only humans standing there. So, like normal humans, I mean. So that's the way I want to keep it. I don't want to know too much. So I'm sure I know what's up with my life, or maybe I don't. But I apparently told Iris that she's dead. So I don't know what else.
So how's Joe gonna react to his son now, being a speedster in this, Flashpoint universe?
Well, I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to say, but I can say that Joe's not necessarily aware.
Oh.
So now he's back in the dark.
Yep, a little bit back in the dark. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's amazing to be on a show where for 2 solid years you have an idea of who you are, what your relationships are with everybody else, and then suddenly it's completely different. That never happens on any show. I think it's pretty cool that we get to do this. It's a little weird. You sort of mourn the loss of relationships as a character. Sometimes I'm lately been on set with Grant, and the stuff we're playing now is completely different than the stuff we've been playing, and it feels sort of like a betrayal and a weird little, you're mourning it almost. So yeah, it should make for an interesting season, that's for sure.
Wally's background that you would like to see the show explore, because we only touched upon a little bit with his mom in the second half of season 2.
Yeah, I don't know at this point. I'm sure we will eventually, but. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd like to see that. We'll see what happens throughout the season, but yeah, I would like to see more about his past.
Well, we'd like to see more explored in the Iris and Wally relationship in the next season.
I think we're going to see them have a really good dynamic together. I think I love their dynamic already, but they'll be going through a lot this season together, and I think you'll really feel that brother-sister team almost. Yeah, it should be good.
I like your hat.
Oh, thanks.
Can I have it?
Is he's anything for West Allen fans out there who are wondering how Flashpoint will affect the relationship, now and moving forward?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's. I think this season you're going to see a lot of Barry and Iris. A lot of them together. So it's great. Yeah.